Renaissance means rebirth, which let artists take control. Greco-Roman ideas came back, like Captain Jack. Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo. Yeah, you remember those names because they're all in the Hall of Fame. Then came the rise of the first ism, humanism, secularism, then individualism. After that came the age of exploration, everyone enjoying the navigation. Europeans conquered everything they see, motivated by the three G's. God, gold, and glory, yeah, that was the story. Hernan Cortez and Francisco Pizarro are the names responsible for the slaughter of the native empires. On Halloween of 1517, Martin Luther published his 95 Theses. He was turning the Catholic religion into pieces. Luther believed in salvation through faith. No way indulgences can be your saving grace. Henry VIII made his own religion. Everyone in England had to join his legion. Going against the Catholic faith and for the Pope, this was a bitter taste. The Council of Trent brought about the Counter-Reformation with the burning of books and all other type of Protestant information. Jesuits were a Roman Catholic order of religious men. They weren't going to let Protestants rise again. Revolution was when the world wanted solutions. This time cleared confusion. As in the Reformation, the Pope was losing power, just as Galileo when he was standing on top of that tower. New medicine saved life in masses, increasing the population in all social classes. The word of God was becoming clumsier, as God was no longer the punisher. Catholics and Protestants couldn't get along. They were like oil and water, without a sense of right or wrong. It began a slaughter. The end result was a 30 Years' War. This was not something they were calling for. Began as a war of religious goals, yeah, but you know war, divided into four phases. This is when hell rages. Later became a war for land and power. France, Austria, Sweden, and Spain were the ones that desired. The Treaty of Westphalia in 1648 ended the religious hate. Who was Louis XIV? Well, the world's first absolutist. He wanted to control everything as he was such a narcissist. By removing the Edict of Nantes, he controlled everything like ants and showed off his hot pants. He fought many wars, but also had a luxury in which he gave many tours. The Palace of Versailles was not only for the rich, which that meant it was a fancy dish, known as the Sun King, for he shined over everything. At the same time, constitutionalism was in the rise, which the absolutists despised. Representative bodies for the people, it made everything more peaceful. Monarchs no longer could tax without consent, known as the power of the purse, not a real contract, but it stuck like cement. A country's main source of wealth would be trade. As a result, colonies would be made. Colonies exploited for natural resources. Yeah, they had no choices. Limited on free trade, countries began war. Jenkins' ear was a real score. Population began to increase and death rate began to decrease. This was thanks to the agricultural revolution. It was a simple solution. The Enclosure Act moved people to the city, where life became more busy. Then came the Industrial Revolution. As a result, there was urbanization and mass production, increase in transportation, with poor living and working conditions. The young 18th century was known as the Enlightenment. To use your brain was now a requirement. This was when the isms were really exploited. Rules of how to live were not being avoided. Socialism, capitalism, Marxism gave rise. Yeah, they were good, but the people couldn't agree on what would be the price. Due to the new ideas in the age of reason, the US had a revolution. This was a step seen as evolution. Britain was losing control of the West. This was a heavy blow to the chest. In any way, the US was set up to be the best. The first French Revolution was influenced by the American Revolution. Let's make a republic or a constitution. A change in government was needed. Everyone agreed that this was not to be cheated. Reasons for this vary, which was one of the reasons this revolution was scary. Tired of taxation and nobility, the third estate took responsibility, first by the oath, then by the storm of the Bastille, and finally by the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, followed by the Reign of Terror, and finally ended in that directory. Nationalism was the theme of this story. Smart, that describes Bonaparte. Rose after the French Revolution on the coup d'etat. Nothing was the same after that. The Napoleonic Code spread nationalism. It was like some sort of religion, conquering land for France from east to west, north to south. This was everything he was about. His downfall came when he tried to invade Russia. This was not easy as he did with Prussia. This was fast-trained as emperor. Too bad it was Germans were enough to hold back the Napoleonic Code, which put all of Europe in revolt mode. Nationalism rose in Italy and Germany, focused on being a single country. France and Austria were also ready for a revolt. However, conservatives stopped it to a halt. After revolutionary times, the belly pot came. It brought economic prosperity with huge popularity. Yeah, it had a lot of fame. And from La Belle Époque came the Second Industrial Revolution, which was a time of fast technological evolution. With the mass production of steel came automobiles, better and cleaner cities, nicer communities. With the need for raw resources, countries began to expand. Exploitation filled the country's purses. There was a huge need for land. The white man's burden began to take over. Africa was quickly taken over to where there were no leftovers. The imperialist competition led to bitter rivalries. Nationalism and alliances only made it worse. The Triple Entente versus Triple Alliance were the rival teams. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was a sudden burst. Germany was close to victory. However, in July, they met their demise, then punished at the Treaty of Versailles. The interwar years were no good time. Germany's economy was on the line. As soon as the economy begins to rise, the Great Depression was there to ensure the economy's demise. The Treaty of Versailles slowly dies. The world stays silent as the race cries and dies. Hitler and the Nazis brought terror to the planet, everyone wishing this passed as a flying comet. Conquered most of Europe, but against Britain, it couldn't be triumphant. Tons of bloodshed, especially of the Jews. Was this the virus that the Nazis were trying to cure? Time was a luxury that the Jews couldn't portray nicely. Annihilation and extermination, was that what hit precisely? New technology really left a tragedy. Planes, tanks, and the Blitzkrieg guaranteed an easy retreat. The Cold War was the result of World War II. It was a time of fear. Soviet Union and the US had a bitter rivalry, and it would not end quietly. Nuclear weapons were every tick. Time will only tell who had the better trick. The question were who would drop it first, and where would it burst. At the same time, decolonization was happening, and it was short from stopping. Imperial countries too weak to maintain control. Independence was the main goal. Nothing would stop them, not even the death tolls. They'd rather save their souls. The protest era came finally, and it was focused on democracy. People wanted safety, and it was proof that democracy had the superiority and ought to be in harmony. The European Union is an economical political union made to bring about solution, just like the Council of Europe or the League of Nations, but this one works with no collusion, plus it has a more positive destination.